Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, everybody. My name is Sarah Kahn, and I'm proud to serve as the CEO of Housing Forward, which is the lead agency for the All Neighbors Coalition. We are a coalition of 150 organizations, many of whom I see in the room today, which is very exciting. And we are all working collaboratively to resolve homelessness in Dallas and Collin counties. And some of you joined us a few months ago in this same room where Mayor Eric Johnson announced that we had achieved an effective end to veteran homelessness. And we are back together to share some other exciting news with you, where we are sharing with you some of the early results of our Street to Home initiative, which launched in July. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a few minutes to kind of introduce some of the incredible leaders that have really leaned in to bring solutions to our community, who I'm going to be presenting with today, beginning with Interim City Manager Kim Tolbert, District 2 City Council Member Jesse Moreno, also the chair of the Housing and Homeless Solutions Committee, Downtown Dallas Inc. CEO and President Jennifer Scripps, Dallas County Commissioner Teresa Daniel, our Housing Forward Board Chair Peter Brodsky, and we are so fortunate to have two gentlemen join us today who are recently housed through this initiative, who are graciously going to share some of their experiences today, Charlie William and Regis Riley. I also just want to take a minute to recognize all of the partners that made today happen. We have some outreach teams and housing providers in the room today that have been working on the ground, day in and day out, providing a lifeline to our neighbors living outside. These folks have been inspiring change in people's lives and have been ensuring that our neighbors who are living outside get the care that they need and have the housing that they need. So as I introduce these agencies, I'm hoping that you all will stand so that we can appreciate and recognize all of you. First, the City of Dallas Office of Homeless Solutions Outreach Team. If you guys could stand. Downtown Dallas Inc.'s incredible outreach team, if you all could stand. Austin Street Center. Who's from Austin Street? Woo! And we have lots of friends from the Bridge today, which we're excited about, if you all could stand. I saw the Stew Pot coming in strong today as well. And our friends from Under One Roof, we appreciate y'all. Also, our behavioral health care providers, both MetroCare and North Texas Behavioral Health Authority. Do we have anyone in the room? And lastly, Parkland Homes and Dallas Housing Authority also were key players in this effort. I also want to acknowledge the other elected officials that we have in the room. Thank you, councilmen and women, for coming today. And lastly, before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to the project managers who really orchestrated this operation, starting with Hannah Sims, who is the project lead from Housing Forward. Also, Kevin Oden, who is lead on the city's enforcement and closure maintenance strategy. And last but not least, Alonzo Grape and Shannon Browning. You guys have been walking alongside us for the last 3 years, providing outreach and leading this effort. Thank you. Thank you all for your valued contributions to this effort. In April, at our annual State of the Homeless address, we announced that we reported the lowest count of people experiencing homelessness in nearly a decade. And we've also achieved a remarkable 24% reduction in unsheltered homelessness. And since 2021, and that was the year that the All Neighbors Coalition really embarked on overhauling our rehousing system. And we saw the public sector and the private sector, led by the Meadows Foundation, really coming together like never before with a very strategic focus on reducing unsheltered homelessness. And since that time period, we have housed more than 12,600 people experiencing homelessness across Dallas and Collin County. We have made a lot of progress, but I will say, I am not feeling that progress every day, and I know you are not feeling that progress every day. When we see people suffering on sidewalks, suffering behind buildings or in tents across our city, and this is unacceptable, and as a community, we need to ensure that no one's sleeping outside. And so the coalition is very committed to building on that progress, and we've set our sights on the next big milestone, which is achieving a 50% reduction in unsheltered homelessness by 2026. And we are going to do that with this $30 million Street to Home effort, which we've launched today, or launched in July, I should say. And that allows us to do two really important things. It allows us to continue to connect people to housing and services at a historic pace, but it also allows us to strategically resolve street homelessness location by location across the city of Dallas. Street to Home, as you're going to hear today, is deploying a new and enhanced response to encampments. We are answering the call from community members and business leaders to address concerns related to public health and safety, and we are doing that compassionately and humanely by targeting those locations and supporting people to move back into permanent housing and to receive comprehensive care so that people stay housed over the long term. So there are a few things that are different about this initiative. We are relaunching with full support from the City of Dallas, DDI, and Housing Forward to what I say bring a do-what-it-takes approach to this issue. We are also integrating behavioral health care into our response to ensure that people receive care from the first point of engagement. And we are ensuring, because of the leadership of the City of Dallas, that after everyone at a particular location is housed, the City of Dallas is ensuring that those spaces remain clear of sleepers and campers. And so beginning in July, we set out to close 3 zones downtown, and we closed these 3 zones beginning in July, with the last zone closing this past Thursday. And if you see on the screen, I think we have the screen, the city, DDI, and Housing Forward worked collaboratively to understand where there was the highest number of people living outside for the longest periods of time. And that brought us to Zone 1, which is the area around the public library, which you can see out the window here. Zone 2, which is the area between Young and Canton Street. And Zone 3, which is the area from Canton Street to Griffin Street, just southeast of the City Hall, where there were tents sort of lining I-30. So beginning in July, we set out to expedite the closure of each of those zones by housing everyone on site. All of the partners that I mentioned have been working on location daily. Each zone closed within 6 weeks, and all of those people that we were working with are now in their own apartments with comprehensive care that followed them into the community and into their homes. So this downtown operation, I think, really provides a very important lesson to all of us that we can really respond to community concerns about public safety and provide a compassionate response to homelessness. And so Street to Home means that we don't have to choose one over the other. We can really promote the health and safety of all of our neighbors. So I am very excited to next introduce the leader who's responsible for kind of driving this new way of doing business. I am going to introduce Interim City Manager Kim Tolbert. Kim has made it a top priority to tackle this issue in her first 100 days, and she has brought together all of the partners to really assemble the leadership, the people and the resources to be successful. And I think as you'll hear from the results that she's sharing today, that's working. So thank you, Kim.
Well, thank you so very much, Sarah. And I will tell you that the important announcement for me today is what we're talking about and what we're doing. Today marks day 103. And what a better way to celebrate this transition than with an announcement like we're going to share with you. I am so very grateful. I'm grateful for the partnership that the City of Dallas has with Housing Forward and all of the members of the All Neighborhoods Coalition. This is truly a partnership, and it's a partnership where we are all standing, working together. As Sarah noted, we've made tremendous progress over the past few years, and that progress starts from so many people and with so many people that are here in this room. We cannot do this work without you. At the same time, we also acknowledge and we know that there is so much more work to do. But I think you will hear from all of the speakers today that that commitment to get that work done is not wavering, and we're continuing to focus on that hard work. That is a message that you will hear not only from the City of Dallas, but from all of our partners, including the members of our City Council. So thank you so very much to the council members who I see here today. Thank you for your ongoing support. The Street to Home initiative is one of our innovative solutions. Through this approach, we have secured permanent housing along with critical support services for 170 people. And we did it in less than 100 days. This is major progress for downtown, but it's also progress from our entire city. We also recognize that to maintain progress, we must keep these encampments closed and our public spaces open for our public to enjoy, like the Dallas Public Library. At each of the zones Sarah talked about that were closed, it included a complete team effort: Dallas Police, crisis intervention coordinators, crime prevention specialists, all working together to mobilize to ensure that areas remain free of sleeping or camping in public. This level of focused enforcement is new, and it includes a combination of patrols where necessary and citations. The data shows that this initiative has immediately improved the quality of life for people who live and work near these zones, and it has coincided with Street to Home. And so I'll talk a little bit about the zones. In Zone 1, surrounded by the library, Dallas Police reported 19 calls for service from January 1st until this actual encampment was closed. Since that closure, we've had only one police call for service. In Zone 2, which was just east of City Hall, we had 87 calls for police from the beginning of the year until it was recently closed. Since the closure, we've had 2 calls for police. So as you can see, Street to Home is changing lives, and it's also making our neighborhoods better. We're addressing public health and safety concerns and giving public spaces back to the community. When I began the charge as interim city manager just over 103 days ago, I vowed that we would be accountable, that we would be responsive and transparent, to build trust and truly deliver on our commitment to service first with an urgency of now. This initiative is all about living up to that promise, and we could not do that without all of you. So let me say that the work does not stop today. Over the coming days, our team will continue collaborating with the All Neighbors Coalition. We will continue to mobilize the Street to Home initiative in other geographic locations across the city. We have shown that this model is effective and it truly works. We will target response in public spaces strategically across Dallas as we work to ensure unsheltered residents are housed and they are safe. As we have shown through this initiative, We will continue throughout this process of sharing updates on our work. Now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce one of 15 of my bosses, and who has been at the table working alongside of us every step of the way to make today possible. And with that, please join me in welcoming to the podium our chair of our Housing and Homeless Solutions Committee, Jesse Moreno.
Good afternoon and welcome. You heard the words partnership over and over again, and that's truly what it's going to take to make these initiatives successful. I do want to thank my colleagues, Gay Donnell Willis, who serves on the Housing and Homeless Committee with me. Thank you for being here, Councilmember Ridley and Councilmember Blackman. Our ACM, Alina, thank you for all your work, Kevin, and all the members that made today possible. Thank you, City Manager Tolbert. I'm happy to be here with everyone today. It is my honor to serve as the chair of the Housing and Homelessness Solutions Committee. I'm also proud to represent District 2, which includes all 3 zones of this operation that we focused on. I've said this before, and when I say it again, the street should not be an unsheltered resident's waiting room. It's just not compassionate. It's up to us, the policymakers, to provide strategic guidance and resources to address problems like homelessness. In homelessness, the solutions are complex as the problem itself. Today, we recognize the important milestone the City of Dallas's response to homelessness. This moment today symbolizes a larger commitment to the entire city that we will not rest until homelessness is no longer the norm. In District 2, over 100 people were housed in less than 100 days. While this is a significant achievement, let's be clear, we still have a long way to go. What we celebrate today are the efforts which return parts of the city to a place of normalcy, where there has been none. I charged our interim city manager to approach homelessness with new efforts and initiatives, and this is the result. Thank you. We celebrate the hopeful success of those who benefit from the Street to Home initiative. However, homelessness pervades in many parts of our city, and we must dedicate ourselves to those parts of our city as much as we have dedicated ourselves here today. Additionally, I will continue to expect that our partners in the Street to Home initiative make themselves available and account for accountable checks so that we can hold each other accountable. I'm pleased to share that the Street to Home initiative has some key elements that my colleagues and I have advocated for on the City Council: permanent housing, critical wraparound services, and strict enforcement. The last piece is key, and I applaud the efforts to date. We must continue to build on the success through continued and diversified efforts. Strategics like this, Street to Home, are the tool in our toolkit that can be leveraged to resolve unsheltered and homelessness, and to address the concerns about public health and safety across the city. In concert with these helpful initiatives, I'll continue to push for greater enforcement. I do so with the knowledge that the burden of homelessness presents should not be carried by the homeless response system alone. We must provide support to those suffering so severely from mental and physical health issues, which can inhibit the ability to care for oneself and their property. Just this morning, the Dallas Morning News reported an increase in homelessness alerts after the decommissioning process as part of these initiatives on the southern side of downtown. This jives with the numbers of concerns I've heard from folks in the Cedars who have dealt with the issues for far too long. The Cedars are not the only ones who have felt the surge. Whether it's Live Oak and Carroll in East Dallas, or the Cedars Branch in Northwest Dallas, and the many more places throughout the city. While the front of the library continues to improve, the inside of the walls see a steady rate of unsheltered individuals returning day after day with no plan for recovery. While sites continue to improve during the middle of the day, unsheltered individuals return to the decommissioned sites in the evenings. Housing First works for those it's supposed to work for. However, those that need different kinds of support still languish in our streets and in our public buildings. Today, we celebrate large numbers of people who have accepted the responsibility of housing as they improve their lives. Yet we cannot celebrate success without knowing that they will retain the housing for years to come. We also, unfortunately, cannot celebrate the number of unsheltered residents who have refused housing and returned to our streets until we can know that housed folks will stay housed and that those who refuse service in the city will eventually receive help. I will continue to pursue all options available to the city to protect the quality of life and safety for Dallas residents, get people the help they need, and ensure that the laws and ordinances in the city are upheld and applicable. This is a new day in Dallas for homelessness, and it doesn't stop today. Let's work together. It is now my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, the champion of DDI.
Thank you, Chair Moreno, for your leadership, especially on issues related to housing and homelessness, and for always taking my call on anything in downtown Dallas. I am Jennifer Scripps, and I'm so honored to be here today and to serve as the president and CEO of Downtown Dallas, Inc. Our nonprofit organization has been the champion for our urban core for more than 65 years. And for much of that time, we have also managed the Downtown Public Improvement District. Through that work, the members of our security team, clean team, homeless outreach, and ambassador teams provide enhanced 7-day-a-week service that makes downtown cleaner, safer, and more hospitable for everyone. But just a few years ago, DDI did not even have a homeless outreach team. In fact, we started this as a pilot project because our security team members, the guys in blue, felt like they were doing this weird task every day of waking up the same people on the streets and in the parks and not knowing how to help them beyond asking them to move along. It felt a little pointless and exhausting and frankly inhumane. We knew we could do better. We realized that we needed to change our model, and so we formed our Heroes in Purple. Wendy Noble is the face up here, but we have a fantastic team. David Davis oversees them, and they started with a relate and refer model. That means building relationships with the clients that we serve, understanding every case is so unique, and knowing how to refer them for the services that case required to get to housing to all of the partners in the All Neighbors Coalition. And as I stand here today, I can honestly say that DDI has never been part of a more impactful, holistic attack on homelessness in downtown Dallas than what we've accomplished with the Street to Home initiative. I personally was just honored to be part of a weekly SWAT team call every Friday morning, and we would take directions from Kevin and Hannah and Sarah and give our input from the lived experience of everybody up here doing that work every single day. It was awe-inspiring, and it always kind of gave me that extra spring in my step. And we housed over 100 people in 100 days. This is transformational in downtown Dallas, and we are so proud to be standing here today with this team. And I really want to thank everybody for stepping into this partnership. Every single link, whether you're helping with IDs at the Stewpot, all the way through enforcement and ultimately getting people the keys to their apartment, changes lives. So I just want to thank everybody. Now, we know the work is not done. In the coming weeks, we expect to see some of this Street to Home initiative continuing to focus on downtown Dallas, where there remains concentration of people experiencing homelessness. We know, however, it's not all in downtown, and we fully acknowledge that. We will continue at DDI to partner with the City of Dallas, Housing Forward, The Bridge, the Stewpot, and all of the other amazing organizations in this collaborative to help people get the critical support services that they need. And one of our other key partners is here to speak with us today, and so I'll turn it over to Dr. Teresa Daniel, the Commissioner for District 1 at Dallas County. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you very much, Jennifer, for that introduction. I just can't help but I've got to say something before my words, and that is 10 years ago, most of the people in this room were not even talking with each other. And that is monumental for getting the job done. Amazing, isn't it? Yeah. But I am so pleased to be here on behalf of Dallas County as one of its commissioners. Dallas County is committed to working with our partnership here at City Hall and throughout the All Neighbors Coalition to continue to make homelessness rare, brief, and non-reoccurring. And Dallas County has put its money where its mouth is to help those efforts go forward. We're proud sponsors of the Real-Time Rehousing Initiative, which launched in 2021. This effort led to historic progress on reducing homelessness in our community, which we've already heard testimony to. We look forward to continuing to partner on solutions. The county is working with the coalition to reduce chronic street homelessness under the new initiative by supporting the expansion of permanent supportive housing in our community. This includes ensuring we are maximizing every dollar by coordinating county vouchers and behavioral health care with continuum of care supportive services for those individuals needing comprehensive care. This is the level of collaboration and coordination required to continue making progress in this issue. We have a lot of work to do to ensure none of our neighbors are forced to sleep outside. We stand ready to continue providing the leadership and resources necessary to tackle this complex problem. And Dallas County is excited to be standing with all the neighbors, coalition, the City of Dallas, downtown Dallas, and to continue the phase of street-to-home initiatives. The two words that you have been hearing in our talk so far have been people and partnership, which to me are two incredible parts of, first of all, rule number one is we do nothing by ourselves. And rule number two is we're not quite done yet either. So to hear the continuing story, it is now my honor to introduce the chair of the Housing Forward Board, Peter Brodsky.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel. You have been an incredible partner, supporter on behalf of Dallas County, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. Thank you to Sarah, to Kim, Chairman Moreno, Jennifer, for your leadership and your partnership. This is a great day on our journey to make homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring in our community. I fully agree with Councilmember Moreno. This is the start, not the finish. But we have to celebrate small wins. We got to celebrate when we've got the right strategy, and we've got the right strategy. It's a great honor in my life to serve as the chair of Housing Forward, which I've done for about 4 years, and I've never been involved with a problem that is so difficult, so complex, so multifaceted, and frankly, so controversial. But we are demonstrating through this initiative that we have the tools, we have the solution, and what we need to do is to continue to stay the course. There's a lot of talk in this country about how to best to solve homelessness, because ours is not the only community that has seen homelessness rise over the last decade. Ours is one of the only communities in the country that has seen homelessness fall over the last 3 years. There's debate, as I said, all over the country. There's debate in the halls of this very building almost every week about how we can do it better, faster, differently. These are important conversations, and Housing Forward is really pleased to be a part of them. We will always come to the table with evidence-backed solutions and with logic. And today we come with more direct evidence that the answer to homelessness is a home. And where I mention logic, because if you think about it, definitionally, you have not resolved someone's homelessness until they are in a home. And that is what our strategy does. Now, we also agree that housing is not enough. It is necessary, it is not sufficient, because the mental health, behavioral health, physical health challenges that were spoken about earlier are very real, and they're very real obstacles that people have to overcome. And so we have to provide those wraparound services. We just believe that if you have those challenges, you're going to be better off overcoming them from the stability of a home rather than from the street. So we believe in housing, we believe in wraparound services, and then we believe in strict enforcement. Because once you have cleared an area, not by moving someone from over here to across the street where they're just going to come back again, but when you've actually housed people and you've cleared the area by providing the housing and the wraparound services, that's when you've got to come in and make absolutely certain through the incredible enforcement that Kim has orchestrated by the city of Dallas to make sure that that area does not repopulate. And that is what's so important. So we know we can do it, and as Teresa Daniel spoke about and others spoke about, the partnership is what makes it happen. The thing that Housing Forward does, our only role here, is to quarterback all of the incredible agencies that are out here that are doing the on-the-ground work and making sure that everybody is talking to one another. And really, the big difference maker here has been Kim's convening of everybody. Because to have the city of Dallas in sync on this program is what provides the critical leg of the stool, which is to make sure that once everyone is housed, the areas stay clear. Now, my real job here is to talk about what nobody wants to talk about, and that's the money. Because it takes money to get this done. We are incredibly grateful to all of our partners, public and private, the City of Dallas, Dallas County, Dallas Housing Authority, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, North Texas Behavioral Health Authority, and we are also incredibly grateful to our private funders, because without the private funding, also, none of this works. It's a three-legged stool of federal support, local government support, and philanthropic support. I do want to take a minute to recognize Peter Miller, who's standing in the back there from the Meadows Foundation. Peter and the Meadows Foundation have been critical in garnering the support of the rest of the philanthropic community. And I also want to read out the names of other people, other important philanthropic institutions that have given 5, 6, and even 7-figure gifts to this initiative, without which none of this would be happening. The Communities Foundation of Texas, Comerica Bank, the Eugene McDermott Foundation, Downtown Dallas, Inc., the Perot Foundation, Hoblet Cell, the Carol B. and Florence E. King Foundation, Matthews Southwest, J.P. Morgan Chase. Let's give them all a round of applause. There are 3 folks in there, the Communities Foundation, the Eugene McDermott Foundation, the Perot Foundation, that each gave $1 million to this initiative. So Sarah mentioned we've got a $30 million public-private initiative goal here. We're well on our way to reaching our goal, but we haven't reached it yet. And so if you are listening to this and you want to see progress continue, not just downtown, but throughout our entire community, let us know. We've got some opportunities for you. Now, there's nothing that shows why these investments are important like meeting some of the people who have been helped by this program. And there are 2 gentlemen here that have come today to share some of their stories, and I want to thank both of them, because it takes courage to tell your story. It takes courage to reveal vulnerabilities that you may have had, challenges you may have had. As I always tell my children, everybody's got their stuff. Everyone's got problems in their life. So I want to thank both of you for coming here today, and I'm just going to do a brief introduction. Regis is a Dallas native who for the past 1.5 years called the area in front of the library his home. Living in a tent with constant worries about safety and wondering if he would ever be able to have a roof over his head again. Regis lost his housing about 6 years ago when he was no longer able to live with family, and he joined his caseworker, Adriana Tarrin. She's here today. So let's give them both a round of applause. Charles is a gifted artist who's participated for many years in the Stewpot Art Program. His art is well known and loved in the city, and he has been living unsheltered periodically for almost 20 years, since 2005, in various parts of the city, and he's been living unsheltered permanently since 2020, when he was injured and unable to continue working. Charles began calling the area around the library home in 2023, and he chose that area because people are smart, and it was near the Stewpot. But he never gave up hope that he would have a true place to call home. And Charles is joined today by his caseworker, Melissa Hilton. So I'd like to invite both of you to come up and just say a few words about the experience that you've had with the Street to Home program.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. My name is Regis Riley, and I'd just like to thank everyone for, helping me out in a situation where I know that I couldn't help myself. And with the program and the people that didn't give up on me, I want to thank all of y'all, Dr. Woody, Ms. Kelly, Hannah, Haley, my case manager, the Stewpot, the city of Dallas. I want to thank all of y'all for y'all help in helping the individuals that was out there on the streets, and I am one of them. So with y'all help, with all of y'all help in this organization, and I ask all of y'all, please fund this here program because it is working. Thank y'all so much, and God bless y'all.
Hello. I'm Charles, last name William. I'd like to thank all of y'all really for making this a simple and easy process for us. First, I'd like to thank my first case manager, Melissa, Keisha Trayon. She helped me with my first apartment back at the Bridge. And the case managers, they do so much. Melissa, you do so much, and I would like to thank you for that. I'm for homelessness, and I'm for people being housed because we can't house everybody who does not want to be housed. But this program, maybe there'll be a middle part that will help people transition from the street to a house, because that middle part is lonely, and people don't know how to react to that. The apartment becomes the street for them. So that's something else, one thing. But other than that, thank you. If anybody has any questions for me, I'm open to anything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charlie and Regis, for coming and sharing your stories. And it's just such a great reminder why we all have to stay committed to this work and ensuring that everyone in our community has a home. So thank you. I appreciate you. I think now we're opening it up to questions from y'all. Yeah, so through this collaboration with the City of Dallas and DDI, we are ensuring that our coordinated outreach teams are identifying where there are locations across the City of Dallas that have high concentrations of people living outside who have been out there for a long period of time. And we will very intentionally prioritize those locations one after the next. We have 3 upcoming sites that'll be launching next week and will be closed by the end of the year. We keep those locations the specific locations confidential until after the operation is finished, just to protect, the integrity of the process. But, we've appreciated being transparent throughout this process, and we'll continue updating the public as we make additional progress and close additional sites. So. So not to speak on behalf of the city, but I know the city of Dallas always asks that people dial 311 to report those instances so that we can have outreach teams go out there, and just so that we have a better sense of where people are outside, so we can continue to be more strategic about how we target those locations. That information and data is really important to the outreach teams as we're looking at where to go next. Absolutely. So thankfully, it's a small number of people who aren't engaging with us in housing, because this is a new way of doing business where we are coming with the promise of housing. The vast, vast majority of the people who we engage on site say yes to working with us on housing. And for those who don't, we have a coordinated outreach team, which the city has invested new resources in, that really targets zones across the city of Dallas to make sure that we have consistent outreach that's engaging folks living on the street in different parts of the city. Absolutely. So I think our ultimate goal is to build on the progress to date. So as a coalition, since 2021, we've achieved a 24% reduction in homelessness. And so the coalition now has set our sights on achieving a 50% reduction in unsheltered homelessness. And so that will require us continuing to rehouse at the same pace. So we will house an additional 1,050 people with that $30 million effort that Peter talked about. And we will close as many encampments as possible across the city. Yeah, absolutely. So we, this Street to Home initiative is obviously a one-time infusion of funding, picking up where the Dallas Real-Time effort left off. That buys us more time to continue to bring in federal sustainable dollars. But as a community, we have cracked the code on how to secure federal funding. Our base funding has increased by more than 44% since 2021. And so we will continue to bring in those resources. And the permanent supportive housing resources are permanent. So when the federal government funds a permanent supportive housing unit, they're funding that in perpetuity. So we want to continue to bring in and secure as many federal dollars as possible. And our performance as a community makes us very competitive for those federal dollars, which is great. So, as a community, I think all share in the value that no one should be sleeping outside. And we have a tool, the Street to Home tool, that has demonstrated over the last 100 days that we can bring this tool to bear today to ensure that people can move into permanent housing with supportive services, which means not investing in things like campsites that would take years to develop and do not provide a humane response to this issue, like the compassionate response of giving someone housing with supportive services. Yeah, so since 2021, we've seen a 19% reduction in homelessness overall and a 24% reduction where we've had very targeted efforts in reducing street homelessness. And so that last year, we were one of about 5 major cities that saw reductions and just a small group of communities overall. And that was during a time period where national rates really soared. So I think we're getting all of the signals that the strategies that we're putting in place are working, and the collaboration between the public and the private sector to really align our dollars to solutions is moving us in the right direction. And I can certainly get you that specific data if you want to look at the numbers.
It's also all on our website,
Yeah.
housingforwardntx.org. All the point in time count results are on our website with all those hard numbers.
Yeah, great question. There's 3 legs of the stool to these housing responses. One is finding the housing unit, and we have a landlord engagement team that partners with landlords all over the city to be able to find available units. We have a subsidy that helps cover the difference between someone's income and the cost of housing. And then what you're talking about, this comprehensive supportive services. So we ensure that every unit has furniture and a startup kit. We also have a new partnership with MetroCare and the North Texas Behavioral Health Authority to ensure that we are integrating comprehensive behavioral health care into our response so that people who need a higher level of comprehensive care have access to those services. Yep, yeah, across the city. No, we have 4 staff at Housing Forward who really, their sole job is to find landlords that want to work with our system so that we can really bring in as many available housing units as possible and really diversify that portfolio, because ultimately we want everyone to have a choice of units that best meet their needs in a location that's right for them. And so that's always the goal, is to have as many unit options as possible. We will certainly be reporting out publicly on our efforts in closing sites across the city. We also report out quarterly to the Housing and Homeless Solutions Committee on the Street to Home effort, and we will obviously continue to update our dashboard with housing that's happening across the system. I don't know that we'll have a specific dashboard for this effort, but there are a number of ways that we ensure that we're regularly being transparent about the process and the progress that we're making, particularly as we work towards that 50% reduction by 2026.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things we did with the rapid rehousing dashboard. Oh, sorry. One of the things that we did with the rapid rehousing dashboard was that we evolved that to represent all of our different housing programs. So I don't want anyone to think that this Street to Home is the only housing initiative we have going on. It's the one right now that we have that's targeting unsheltered homelessness in particular, in this very targeted way. But we've housed over 13,000 people over the last few years, and it's been through a variety of different interventions. That's what that dashboard now tracks. It just became too statistically difficult and cumbersome to track each different program by itself.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you all.